Okay,
Cut.
we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Woke Wednesday. And I gotta make sure that we got our sound is good too.
I gotta find a different phone then.
Okay, it should be, but I think I can hear myself from this one.
Hear the feedback on that phone?
Yeah, a little bit. All right, so today we are going to be going over just some of the normal woke videos. I got Clown World, I've got Simp Saver, the latest ones from them, and then also I am going over a one about the Pope saying about is the Pope woke?
The new Pope.
The new Pope, yes, that was just elected. I figured that's fresh on everybody's agenda, so let's go over it and let's find out, shall we? So let's see what we got scheduled for today. Present. Share screen. Share. Hold on, I gotta mute my CF.
Equal gender. Trans men don't owe you masculinity. Trans women don't owe you femininity. And non-binary people don't owe you androgyny. There's no one way to look or present as non-binary. Not at all. Lesbians who don't use she, her pronouns are valid. People who are asexual or aromantic are valid and welcome at Pride and in the community. People who use neopronouns are valid. People who identify with and use micro-labels are valid. People who are unlabeled or who are questioning or changing their label are valid and very welcome. People who are bisexual, omnisexual, pansexual, polysexual, your sexualities are real and you are valid. Trans rights are human rights and protect trans youth.
What does any of that mean? Honestly, we don't know.
Remember when people used to keep it to themselves what they like to do in the privacy of their own bedrooms? Now they throw parades for people on the basis of who they like to have relations with. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So I have a very quick and very
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to use that first part there as a thing to say. If you've read the post I did, this upcoming year with what was it, June 29th or 27th, 28th? I think it's 28th. I think it's what I'll be there. I'm gonna be going to the Pride Parade in San Francisco to get some footage. I'll talk to people and just see what's going on there. You know, they call it family friendly, but really, is it? We're gonna find out. So I figured that my dad lives over that way, so I'm gonna go and visit him. Take our son with us to go visit, and all of Saturday I'll be out there. So hoping that maybe we'll get to see a couple of the bigger street preachers that we always watch. But I don't know. Nobody usually covers this one. So I mean, if I'm the only one, that's fine too. I'm sure there's going to be some local ones, some local people.
I saw in like last year's or something, there was children in the Pride Parade.
Yeah, there was.
But at least they looked respectable. Everybody looked like they were like covered up and everything. That's the main thing I'm going to look for, is to see if people are covered up and stuff.
Last year's though, they had the guys walking around nude.
Right. I just didn't see that.
Yeah.
That might have been in a different part of the parade, or it might have been a different part of the area.
Yeah, because the parade is actually Sunday, which I will not be attending. I'll just be there for the street fair festivities.
Go talk to some of the so-called Christian denominations.
Yeah.
That say that they celebrate the LGBT.
That they allow pride to be in their church, and that's a very big sin for the Christian religion.
Yeah. Why don't they choose a different religion?
Exactly. If you choose a different religion and go about it that way, that's one thing. But when you go and call yourself a Christian, and you're gay, whatever, you identify as a loaf of bread. I don't know, but any of that, you cannot be Christian.
Right,
I don't know what's with him and bread, but
the main premise of being a Christian is to deny yourself. That doesn't mean if you're gay or straight or a loaf
Yes.
of bread. You are no longer any of those things. You were supposed to be following Christ.
Yeah, you are a
You're
Christ
God,
follower.
and you follow Christ in His ways. So it's like that just doesn't jive. It just doesn't,
No.
doesn't work.
That's exactly right.
And in our religion, it's like, okay, if you want to be gay, you can be gay. You're gonna have to deal with that in your next life, or even in this life at some point. It's fine, but that's between you and the gods. However, the pride part of it, again, is the problem because we're supposed to be pleasing to the gods. We're supposed to be representative.
That's exactly right.
The gods. None of the gods are doing those sorts of things. It's not going to become a way to live your life as a human.
No, see, that's a devil thing.
Right.
That's a deterring you from the path.
It is literally devil worship because it's a worship of self.
Yes.
And it's very self-centered. It's like, then just call it what it is. But
Exactly.
It's very selfish. It doesn't do any good for anybody anywhere. They're not serving anything. It's just all about me. Look at what I want.
That's exactly right.
That's the problem that falls with our religion.
Yeah. It's like, well, I don't care. I'm going to go do this.
Right.
Oh, I don't care. I'm going to go and do that. When pride is the epitome of what the devil stands for.
I mean, literally, pride is, they say, the deadliest sin.
It is, yes. Because your ego is getting too overinflated for yourself.
Right. And you can have pride in things that you do. For people who have pride in like your family and whatever, but to be prideful is the sin. And
Exactly.
it's literally what this whole thing is, and it is Satanism. Or as we called it back in our day, Setiism.
Yes, Setiism. Exactly right.
Because Set was the god of chaos and self, and it was like, don't worry about following any rules. It doesn't matter. Life's gonna end. You're gonna be consumed by chaos anyway. So go do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it was not looked favorably upon by even our own priests.
No, and it's like, but this generation has just taken off with it. It's like the generation before was so into the what do you call it? Well, it's my money. I'm gonna do what I want with it.
I know. I always say that a lot of it comes down to the 90s. The 90s were the decade that really put the nail on the head of the coffin. But
yeah.
If you think about it, it really did kind of start in the 60s. The Woodstock and the free love movement and everything. It kind of started in the 60s.
Yes, it did.
But the 90s added a whole new element to that, particularly about modern women and modern women thinking. It was
exactly.
A tipping point, So it started with free love and everything in the 60s, and then women, you can do anything that men can do. In fact, you can do it better. Don't stay at home. Go out into the workforce. And that was just it. That was the perfect storm.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what started that whole woman rise movement of, oh my God, we're better than men. We're gonna go to work. And then then it went into, okay, well, the men can stay at home then.
Yeah, and it just long term, I very rarely see any of that work out, if ever.
No, it doesn't.
Personally, I don't know of any where it's actually worked out.
No.
In theory, and seeing other people even on the internet, I just haven't seen it. Just,
exactly right.
I don't care how nurturing and caring the dad is. There's still something that happens where he's not being challenged enough in a home setting. And it's also really overwhelming in other parts. So,
yes.
They usually cheat for some reason.
Yes, they will definitely cheat.
And the women do the same because they'll put everything into a male boss usually, but they won't submit to their husband.
Yeah, they won't submit to their husband, but yet, in order to get wherever they need to at work,
they'll do
whatever it takes.
It's also fun.
Yeah.
Because it's financial.
Yeah.
Because they don't think their husbands can pay for jack fucking shit.
Right. So then they think that And so then you're right. Then there's like a lack of respect for the husband in that, and it's like, why
Yes.
can't I do again? I'm gonna do what I want to do.
You know,
whether
fucking
you
marry in
like
the
it or
first
not.
place, or be a boyfriend in the first place. Jesus
Exactly.
Christ. Stupid people.
And that is Wolfboy Productions, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. When
Also
he's,
subscribe to LongWalker's life.
when he's done nursing, I have a couple things that I found on the internet we can discuss. Too.
Yes, when we're toward the end, we'll go ahead because I'm sure we're going to have more time.
Because it has to do with the book.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, let's get on with Clown World.
Very crazy Clown World update for you guys today. And as usual, we have very little time to waste. So let's get into it. Now, if you place your attention on the screen for a moment. So, this individual who is a biological man that identifies as a trans woman and calls himself a transbian or trans lesbian is not only trying on bikinis in a woman's dressing room in a department store, but he's posting pictures online and bragging about it.
Yeah, well, you're one sick. Miserable, evil SOB.
All right, we're going to keep it moving with this short clip of some high school assembly somewhere. I don't know if this is a graduation ceremony or what, but listen carefully to what she says. Now, if this happened back when I was in high school, me and my buddies would have heckled her right out of the auditorium. Roll it.
Everyone in this room currently affected by the Trump administration, listen to me now. Do not give up. Do not stop fighting. Fight for you, fight for your family, fight for everyone you know, because this country is headed towards a second food holocaust.
You fat bitch.
Now, that's very interesting because back when I was in high school, me and my buddies never ever talked about politics because we were too busy being young and dumb and having fun. Anyway, next up. So this fella thinks that under the Trump administration, they can just lock you up and throw away the key. Roll it.
So now somebody at the White House wants to do away with due process, where meaning they can come arrest you at your home for even talking like this. Good job, Trump supporters, because you know what? These rules apply to you too, Trump supporters. You're not getting out of this.
There's so much to say about a lot of that, but even this one is the one that I stopped it on. So this guy saying what he's saying, I mean, technically, if they want to, they can arrest you for anything either way, with or without due process. But I mean, for him to say that they're trying to do away with it, they would never be able to get away with it. It would start a revolution.
Yeah, long term.
I mean, there's too many gun-toting Americans that would not stand for it. So they would never just flat out get rid of it because they would know that would start a revolution.
Yeah, because that would destroy their economy all the way. Because people are going to stop participating in absolutely everything.
Exactly. Yes.
They start doing stuff like that, and it's like they do. There has been government overreach. I've seen it.
Oh yeah, by far.
Democrats than I have with Republicans, but it's happened to me all my life.
Yes.
And it's like you just have to know your rights and stand your ground.
That's one of the biggest things that we've had to learn is to know your rights, ladies and gentlemen. Know them front and back. Know what you can't do, what you can't do.
Know the laws, your local laws, the state laws.
Yes. And if you're allowed to do it, stand your ground. Do not back down from them. If they are going to arrest you, allow them to arrest you if you know that you're in the right.
Stay quiet.
stay quiet. Do not. I mean, I've seen so many of them speak up, open their mouth, and then they throw out their whole case.
And I mean, and definitely gather evidence. If you can record before, if you have stuff that's been written, use that. If you know, keep gather evidence. You know.
And it's like so many of those I've seen. I've been like, oh my god, that guy's got such a case, and then they open their mouth, and it's like, well, there went that case.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. But something was. It's just an agreement. It was just like. I guess I was gonna say if it's something that is like your way of life and it's being done on your property and it isn't hurting anybody and
yes,
and they still want to try and find you, then I guess let them find you.
Yeah, let them come for you.
I've been in that position too regarding dog licensing. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world that we have to license our dogs on our property.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, we're dealing with that right now.
If you go out, then yes, you have them licensed, you know, but they want to do this preemptive strike. Well, maybe if something happens, then it's like we're not covered either way.
Yeah, and if something happens, then come at us.
Yeah, right. And
I mean, that's just the way it goes.
I've been living with these animals for over 30 years, and nothing's happened. And I'm
No.
not saying that it couldn't, but it's like I take a lot of precautions to make sure that we're living right.
Well, that's our biggest thing is how much we do to make sure.
Right. And what about people like I was talking about today that want to help the dogs that are running around that are freaking like, abandoned and stuff? But then they come at you trying to get licensing and everything.
I know.
Or
That's
they try
exactly
to
right.
get a breeder's permit and
I mean, because our local shelter is so overfull, they're like double packed in their what do you call them, cells.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ridiculous because if anybody else tried this, and the government saw, they wouldn't have it. They'd be shut down. You'd be arrested almost for neglect.
Right.
But yet a shelter does it, and they're like, well, we're just trying to keep up with this and that. And it's like there's nothing that's done because they pay their fees.
Yeah, but that's just it too. That's my other issue. It's like when it comes to breeding, you're allowed to breed 1 litter per year without having a license, but you can't sell those dogs.
Yes.
And now they've changed the wording, probably because of us, that you can't trade, you can't gift, you have to have that. If the dog is leaving your property, you have to have a seller's permit or a breeder's permit. But it's like in all the years that we've had animals, we have had 2 litters, 3 litters.
Yeah.
Right? 3 total?
3, yes.
And yet there is a lady that we know that is a quote unquote licensed breeder, and she has output like 7 times as many dogs as we have in that amount of time. So it's okay just because she's paying the fees and everything.
That's exactly right.
That she can overpopulate with all those dogs, but it's okay because she's paying. It's like they don't look at the ethical principle of it. It's just who can pay the money.
Exactly.
And
That's
so if they want to fine me for something like that, then I'll deal with the fine.
That's exactly right. Yes.
I mean, if they want to put me in jail for it, I will go to jail.
We will stand like Jesus Christ, and we will take our punishment.
Exactly. And it's like you just have to know that karmically you're going to be upheld.
Exactly.
And if you really want to push it, if you take it to the state level, you'll probably win your case there as well. You didn't lose it, did you?
No. But I don't want him scratching my outfit up either.
Note. I had a spray bottle.
It's right there. Sorry, we got cats that kind of try stuff. So, all right, let's move on with this.
You're the ones that did this to us. You voted in a man that's trying to predict our future. But no, you Trump supporters went and voted for a man, got him elected, and now a due process. Due process means they can throw you in jail and never let you out. And that includes you Trump supporters. This ain't no lie. Look it up. It's everybody.
You must have got manure for your brains.
You have shit for brains.
And next up, we have this young fellow who drops some typical liberal logic on us. Roll it.
It is not
a crime to be undocumented in America. Let me say it again. It's not a crime to be undocumented in America. It is a civil violation, but if a civil violation was enough to get you deported, parking tickets, jaywalking, oops, I forgot to show up to court, not going to jury duty, those are all civil violations. A lot of y'all would be a hell of a lot more upset at real Americans for doing some dumb shit that they do constantly. So let's just put that fact out there. Not a crime. Thank you. Have a great day.
You are a fucking moron.
Now, I actually showed this next clip in a video a while ago, but it's making its rounds on the interwebs again, so I figured I would show it just one more time for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Roll it.
I have tattoos on my face. Of course people assume I'm unemployed. I've got tattoos on my face. Of course people assume I've got daddy issues. I've got tattoos on my face. Of course people assume I'm severely mentally unwell. I've got tattoos on my face. Of course men think I'm kinky and into pain. I've got tattoos on my face. Of course people say that I've ruined my looks. I've got tattoos on my face. Of course people assume that I do drugs.
You on drugs?
Hey guys, real quick, before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let this loop on the screen. Now, I'll be completely honest with you guys. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I just don't. Anyway, today's video is being brought to us by the Etsy store, Red Clover Fields. Now, many of you know that is my wife's Etsy store, and she's got some fantastic stuff on her website, stuff I use every day, and I swear by it. So if you're looking to take control of your health and maybe get into some more natural remedies, definitely go peruse her store. I will put a link to that in the description box below. Now, if you'd like to sponsor the next video and help support the channel, there is a PayPal link also in the description box below, and I will say your full name as a sponsor of said video unless stated otherwise by you. All right, I think we've seen enough of this little green goblin for one day. Get this off the screen, please. Oof.
En fin, Elsa, ¿eres tú? Wow.
That's fucking weird, huh? Holy shit. What the hell was that all about?
And next up, we have this fellow who identifies as a non-binary. Now, I think that he thinks he's like the modern-day Shakespeare. He's always talking, but he doesn't really say anything. Roll it.
One of the lessons of straightness is that you only can belong if you are understood. So in order to be understood, you have to say, I am a man, I am a woman, I am this, I am category. So that's not love, that's control. Love is a commitment to one another's perpetual and perennial mystery. Love says, I will never understand you, I will never get you, but I don't need to understand or get you because I'm here to be alongside you, not to consume you. The truth is, affinity doesn't come from pledging allegiance to our alienation. Affinity actually comes from embracing one another's unruliness. I love you because you're just like me, by which I mean unknowable and unfurling.
I don't know what the you're talking about.
And next up, we have this individual who is a biological man that identifies as a trans woman, and it sounds like he's gotten himself into a little pickle with the swim competition that he's in. Check this out. Roll it.
Good morning. It's Saturday, the 10th of May, and I'm at sunny Sedgemoor Services on the M5 on my way from Cornwall up to Reading. I'm travelling to Reading because I am in a swimming competition later on this afternoon. Looking forward to seeing a lot of my old friends from Reading Swimming Club and some of the officials that I used to work with. However, there's a slightly more important aspect to it as far as I'm concerned. I have now to swim in the what's called open/male category. I'm not allowed to swim as a female anymore. I used to be able to. And so I'm going to protest in my own little way. I am going to consider that if I am swimming with the men, then I must wear the same costume as the men. Or to put it another way, I'm going to swim my 50 meters breaststroke topless. Now, technically, And swimming is one of these funny sports where you have lots of rules about what costume you should wear. And I have checked this with Swim England in the past. I'm expected to wear a female costume. So if I wear a male costume, that is something that doesn't come up above the navel, then I should technically be disqualified. However, if they disqualify me, that means I should be wearing a women's costume. If I'm wearing a women's costume, I must be a woman. Therefore, I should be able to enter the women's competition. We'll see. I'm going to try and tangle them up with their own lack of logic. I'll let you know what happens.
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, English, giant, twerp, scumbag, face, dickhead, asshole.
All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping it up with this clip of the cackling hens on The View talking to former Vice President Joe and naughty Dr. Jill Biden. Now, one of the fake Republicans on The View asks Joe about his cognitive decline, and listen to what he says. Anyway, things are clearly getting very crazy out there, guys, so please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Till next time, love you guys. Peace. Roll with
Mr. President, since you left office, there have been a number of books that have come out deeply sourced from Democratic sources that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities. In the final year of your presidency, what is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that. Number one. Number two, think of what we were left with. We were left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection when I started. Not since the Civil War. We had a circumstance where we were in a position that the pandemic, because of the incompetence of the last outfit, end up over 1 million people dying. And we're also in a situation where we found ourselves unable to deal with a lot of just basic issues, and which I won't go into in the interest of time. And so we went to work, and we got it done. And one of the things that well,
and Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day.
What did you say? What the did you just say?
Mr. President, since you left office, there have been a number of books that have come out deeply sourced from Democratic sources that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities. In the final year of your presidency, what is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that.
You fucking lying piece of shit!
2, 10, 12, 15. Whoops, stepping on them. It's black. Anyway.
Migrant robber gets caught by the hood.
Robbing people out here. Robbing people.
Yeah, Joe Biden was just, his last year especially was really bad. It was very sad. And, the people that were in charge over him should have been put in jail for abuse. Having him still be out there. I mean, the fact that he's still out there doing stuff.
That's insane.
It really is. It's so bad.
And the stuff that he just said had nothing to do with the question.
No.
Just throwing out a bunch of keywords that happened during his presidency.
Yeah.
And, we got it done. And it's like, but that is literally not what the question was.
Exactly. I mean, he had no idea where he was again.
And I will just never forget, there was 2 incidents. One, he was talking in front of a bunch of people.
Yes.
Mid-sentence, he stops dead, looks around, puts down the microphone, and walks off the stage.
Yeah.
No, he was mid-sentence. No, there was nothing that triggered that. The other one was when he was done talking some sort of press thing in the Amazon, he went and almost wandered off into the forest. And they had
I know, he was like, oh, let's go.
The redirect is he knew it was his time to die, and they stopped him.
I know. They're like, no, you have to be here. And I mean, the one that always plays on this channel is also another example of that. The whole one, oh, that's black.
I was like, what is that? What was going on here?
Dementia is a real serious problem. It really is. I mean, I've dealt with it with my grandmother. Alzheimer's, yeah.
But, like, anything that he did in his previous years as being either vice president or anything else that he's done politically was completely and totally overshadowed by the last couple of years of.
By that fact, yeah. What happened?
A big ass joke.
It was, and that's just it, and that's what a lot of people can take from it. But it's like, that's just sad that nobody will now remember, anything else that he did.
There was another key thing that just got me too, that it was like talking about, I think Trump said something about Puerto Rico being trashy or something, it was filled with trash or something.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, he's talking about Puerto Rico, but in my hometown of this or in Cincinnati or something, it's like, dude, what the hell? And he's like, the only trash that I see is his supporters. And
I know,
trying to spin that, it's like.
Yeah, because he dropped the ball on that one too. Yeah. I mean, bad. I remember that one. It was. All right, we're moving on to Sim Saber now.
Fuck you! Trying to rob people, hitting old men.
You don't think I don't work with that no more, nigga.
Right here, acting up, wilding.
Bob, that was fucked up with you. That's fucked up, bro.
Hey, old puppy right here, man.
Wow. That was.
Nah, you get off that shit, bro.
Hit an elderly guy.
Get off the jack. Yeah. Fuck him.
That was.
Why you trying to rob that man for, bro?
Look at it, take his.
Why you robbed him for, bro?
Nah, puppy, let him.
Nah, man.
That work go to jail.
You don't do that shit in this neighborhood, bro.
Camera catch us hurting him. You know what I mean?
Nah. So what you doing, bro?
Why you doing that? Okay, pa.
You out here, bro. You don't put nobody out here, bro.
He's getting off lightly.
Yeah, bro.
Punch me right in the fucking face.
Got here, bro.
If he was big like you, I wouldn't let him get close.
So now you crying because you can't get your phone back, but you want to rob people out here. You want to rob people, right?
That was fucked up, bro.
Keep on going, bro. Don't do that no more, bro. No haga eso, bro. Y menos la gente vieja, bro. Sigue por ahí.
I should take your phone.
And then you gonna run in the store?
Let's be honest here. This guy got off lightly. If he'd have done this at the wrong place at the wrong time, yeah, the conclusion would have been very different. There's a lot of people marching down the street saying this is fine. We should accept everyone with open arms, have open borders, but they forget that this stuff happens. And I'm really surprised he walked away with that injury-free and his phone was intact. I'm surprised they didn't smash him up and the phone. Because it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. You got to be a low-life scumbag to not only steal from an old man, but to attack him.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
I'm a narcissist. Original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part. That people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
I say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Keep telling yourself that, darling.
Well, we all saw what happened with that film. That's what happens when you change the narrative to fit your agenda. Is he doing Morse code for saying I'm a twat, or what's going on here?
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
My name was changed, but my gender was not changed. So
It states my legal name, Orion Hodge, but does not state the correct pronouns or gender.
Orion sent me this photo of the updated passport. He got it at the end of February. We blacked out any personal and confidential information. It shows the legal name changed, but the gender's still showing female, not the male like he applied for.
I was expecting my gender not to be changed, and I was mentally prepared for that. But it was still pretty disappointing.
I find it strange how there's people who believe you can just change that and a document will affirm it. Yeah, nah.
We will not be silenced. The silent riot has begun.
Shut the fuck up.
A Pride organisation put a tweet out. They posted what was a positive piece, but it was a real old photo, and I like to feel I've progressed a little bit as a person since then. It was picked up then by some gender critical people. Some that have got really, massive millions and millions of followers. They decided to then attack me.
One of the very high profile people who kind of attacked you online is J.K. Rowling. And that tweet got a lot of views and a lot of attention. You tweeted a Dumbledore quote. So I'm just going to read it. It says, "You fail to recognise that it matters not what someone is born, but what they grow to be." Albus Dumbledore. What does that mean to you, that quote?
Transgender people, it doesn't matter what gender we're born in. It's how we go and live our lives and what we grow into be. For me, that line is just fabulous. I don't want to reply to her.
And that's just it. These transgenders are just so selfish. To them, it's all about what they want to be called, what they think they are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's been a father to children for 20-something years or 10 years. It's worse when they're underage, I think. It's like I've seen men transitioning to women. It's like, you can't call me dad anymore. You have to call me mom.
And I mean, a kid isn't going to understand that.
No, and vice versa. I've seen it go the other way too. And then when it's really bad, you have the whole family jumping onto it, like you've seen in your own side of the family. It's like your half brother started with a trans child, and now all of a sudden he too is also trans. It's like the odds are astronomically high.
That's exactly right, and it's like it gets ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, true transgenders came from body dysmorphia, where they just could not live within the body that was given to them. It makes them physically ill. The sense of dissociation is beyond just feeling uncomfortable. It's like a horrible, it must be a horrible thing. And so then the only way that they can cope with that, I guess, is to change to close to the gender and present.
That's the true form of it, yes.
True trans,
And there's a couple of people, and I've shown them before, the offensive tranny.
It's looking just crazy good now. It's like,
and he was one, and he admits it. He says, "I will always be female."
Yeah.
But to cope with it, this is what I do. So he doesn't really care what people call him.
Right.
But yet you get these other ones that are just coming through. Well, you better call me this. Or going on. No, you misgendered me, and it's like this attitude of they want to be better than everybody else.
That's what it is. Again, like with the pride thing, it's like all of a sudden you're elevating yourself to godlike status.
Yep.
There's a channel that I watch. It's called the Queer Chameleon, and it's obviously youth based because it's like a little cartoon skit thing.
Yeah.
And the people that talk on it are very, very immature. But there's so many people. It's like, okay, it's bisexual visibility week, right? And so many of the comments are like, "Oh my God, I wish I was, because you guys are so awesome. You guys are so much better." And it's like, I don't get that.
No.
That's so wrong. It's like that.
Or these churches that try to say that they're they're with the gays, or they're the ones that go fully into it, and that's all that they serve is gays.
Yeah, I think that we will maybe cover that on Friday.
Okay, that sounds good. But we've seen the street preachers that do it right. Like Nicholas.
Yeah.
A new one that I just saw, and I know I've dealt with him before, is that Bryce Crawford.
Right.
I was watching more of his stuff, and he's really good with it too, because
He's mellow.
yeah, he just goes up and he's like, hey, he's like, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to let you know my story,
Right.
let you know that that you will find your way.
Right. And it's like.
And he's from he's like in LA one.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
And it's like, just choose. The thing is if they were sure of their convictions, if they were sure that it was the right thing for them, then nothing that anybody would say would bother them.
Would matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
how
flat out.
I've always been. It's like, it doesn't bother me. It's like, that's the way they feel, and that's the way they feel. I don't sit there and try to go up and have a conversation or a confrontation trying to change their mind or let them know my point of view. I just don't care.
Exactly, because you know the truth.
Yeah. So something must be feeling wrong inside for them to respond the way that they are.
And then there's the ones that just want the attention no matter what. There's so many of them that fake illnesses. They'll fake diseases, disorders. They'll fake whatever they can just to be with the online group.
Just to get that attention, just to get that sympathy, I guess.
Yep.
It's called so brave and so courageous. And it's like, none of the things that you're doing weren't being called brave or courageous. The street preachers that actually go out there and talk to these people, I would say, are brave and courageous.
I mean, look at her Patriot Voice, man. She got punched so hard.
That was insane. Did not even see that coming.
No, I didn't either.
I'm looking for the pink phone so I can share some stuff with you, and I can't find it.
Tristan, you don't want to find the pink phone.
He's in the middle of a battle.
Okay. So we will move on with this one now.
This is the thing. There's a lot of people like him who can't accept what they are. So why do we have to accept it?
You could literally post a video asking people on TikTok what they think is going to happen if Canada shuts off the lights, and it will trigger a MAGA. Why? Why are you guys so mad? I don't understand. You won, but you're still angry, and I think it's because you don't have enough, you can't swallow your pride to just be like, wow, I voted for this guy and he's not doing anything to help the middle class. He's helping his rich friends in Russia and China. How did we get in bed with Russia and China and Americans are like, yay? Huh? Our great grandparents did not fight fascism for us to turn around and just bend our knee to it. Am I the only one who read a fucking history book?
This is the thing. We all have different opinions and views on things, which is completely fine. Completely fine. But when these people vent their opinions and whatnot, and then when someone comments on a video they posted with a different opinion, they get all triggered about it. People comment on my videos all the time saying, oh, I don't agree with what you said here, don't agree with that. That's completely fine. That's cool. I don't dislike anyone who dislikes what I say. But I've seen countless of videos like this where if you don't agree with what they're saying, prepare for more videos.
I will outlive Donald Trump. I will outlive Donald Trump.
Whoa.
He is a 78-year-old man. He is morbidly obese. He probably has coronary artery disease.
Why are you filming this video whilst sorting out all your medication? Because it is not a good look.
The Big Macs will take him eventually. Not that JD Vance is any better. I
love a Big Mac. I really do.
Outlive Donald Trump. I will outlive Donald Trump. I will outlive Donald Trump. I just double dosed myself. I will outlive Donald Trump.
This is weird.
I will outlive Donald Trump.
Okay.
Fuck. I will outlive Donald Trump. I will outlive Donald Trump.
I'm confused.
Stop.
Yeah, people like that are just completely insane. I mean, the way that she was going, she was gonna OD herself by saying that, because she was gonna put too much medication, and then they probably don't pay attention after it's in that thing. It's probably just grab whatever's in there and take it. I've seen a lot like that. And it's like, it's funny because these people will get all over somebody for, going to a drug dealer and getting, illegal medication and stuff, or illegal stuff that's out there, weed, whatever it might be. They'll get all over somebody for that. They'll be like, oh my God, you can't do that. But yet when you get a prescription from a doctor, especially if the doctor's like over prescribing, if they don't care how much they give you, what they're giving you, I mean, that is just as bad.
It's worse in some ways because they goddamn know the kind of harm.
Yes,
The doctors
they do.
know the harm that it can cause and everything,
I know.
They do it anyway.
Yeah, they do it anyway. I mean, it's insane to me. That's why we've been off for how long now?
8 years.
8 years of any medication from doctors.
Yeah.
We're only on some, what do you call it?
It's an Indonesian.
Indonesian like tea.
Yeah.
For our pain.
Yeah.
And it settles it just fine. We've been on that now for 8 years.
I was taking cannabis every single day of those 8 years, but then I stopped after he was born.
With no issues.
Yeah, no. And so that's been like 5 months.
Yeah.
And I picked it back up around Easter, and it caused problems with my milk production and stuff. So I stopped again, and that's it. Yep. And so yeah, we had it, and you barely snort ever at all. So it's like, basically just that one thing.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
It helps with pain, and it helps with getting yourself mentally, spiritually stable.
It really does. Yes, it helps so much, and it's all natural.
And it doesn't make you feel like high or anything. It's just levels, mellow.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Hey. Take it. You just spray bottle. Tristan, can you put this orange one out?
We got cats doing stuff. All right, let's get back into.
Stop it. Get some help.
Elon Musk has got to go. Hey. Oh ho. Elon Musk has got to go. Hey. Oh ho.
You are unemployed.
Elon Musk has got to go.
Hey, what does Elon have to do with the Department of Education?
Everything. It's Doge, baby. Elon Musk has got to go. Hey.
What is the Department of Education doing for our
I get secondhand embarrassment watching these. Like, how they do it, I don't know.
children? Other than making them gay and retarded like all of you.
Whoa.
Hey. Oh ho.
Why do
all of your news?
Why do all of your eyes look like that?
Am I going to be on the news?
Unhinged.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I don't see yours, so I'm not sure. I imagine they would be.
They don't look like I'm on multiple SSRIs.
Tell your wife to call it a day, mate. Yeah, I think what she's referring to is the crazy eyes. And we know one thing's for sure. These people doing this have no shame and no job.
You are a bad person and you are racist. You can't use the excuse that you didn't know that he was
You hearing that, guys? For those who are watching, if you voted for Trump, my American viewers, you're a bad person and you're a racist.
going to do this because he ran on it. You can't use the excuse that you just don't want criminals in our country because you elected one to run it. You elected a felon and a rapist to run our country. Immigrants are the backbone of America. They pick our fruit, they build our homes, and they are outstanding members of society. They do not commit more crime than American-born citizens, but clearly you do not care about crime because you voted for a criminal yourself. So let's call a spade a spade. You're racist. And you should be ashamed of yourself, and you should feel embarrassed. And you will lose friends over this decision. This will be in the history books, and you will be on the wrong
If they're losing friends like you, I think that's a good thing, mate. So, happy days.
side of history. You are a bad person. And I hope you have to live with that. And I hope it keeps you up at night. And I hope these tariffs f*** you in the ass.
What? I need to hear what Donald Trump did to these people, because all these things he is, I don't understand where it's all come from. And these people are stupid. Do they not realize that when people are in a country illegally and no one has any clue who they are, where they've come from, and they commit a crime, how are the police meant to catch them? If this woman had a family member, or even if she was attacked by, someone who is somewhere where they shouldn't be, and they're looking on CCTV, who are they looking for? Half the cameras don't work. Half of them are blurry. The person ain't got ID, no job, no card, nothing. They're out committing crimes in broad daylight and no one has any clue who they are. Do these people not think of that?
If you guys didn't see my last story time, I invited 2 Tinder guys over and thought that it would be great to try a DP. If you don't know what it means, look it up.
Don't look it up. Don't do that. I'll save you that. Someone's going through the front door and someone's using the fire exit. That's all I'm going to say. There you go. I just saved you getting traumatized on Google.
Anyways, they were way too rough and ripped me from hole to hole, which you can imagine is absolutely excruciating pain. So
people put this on the internet. People upload this on the internet.
I'm now in the hospital and I'm laid here on my side. I don't know why they have me in this position. It's probably to air it out. They've stitched me back up. I have this, they've given me this little button that gives me drug pain medication every time I need to and when it starts to wear off, because it is absolutely painful. So I do not, under any circumstances, advise to do DP in any sort of way. Leave that for the pros. Clearly, I was not a pro.
Well, I'm out, guys. If this is what's cool now, I think I'm done. I no longer have any connection to this world. Goodbye, friends.
The amount of transphobia in feminist movements is insane. I was at a conversation today on the concept of consent, and somehow the transphobes managed to hijack the entire conversation. Their argument was essentially, I don't consent to a trans woman being in a woman's space. Trans women do not need your consent to exist.
This is the thing. So female viewers, if there's any watching right now, I know there's not many, but it must be annoying when you've got women destroying women's spaces. You got donuts like this who are saying it's perfectly fine for a dude to walk in a girl's toilet. It's perfectly fine for a dude to walk in a woman's locker room and get changed with all the girls. It's fine to do that. There's women going behind enemy lines and saying that stuff's cool. What direction are we going in?
What do you care about?
So I'm like she was, like the lady that you just interviewed.
Who?
The lady that you just interviewed. I'm non-binary. My name's Kat. Okay. So instead of being
Kat. Okay. See where this is going already.
Directly trans male to female or female to male, I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Just
so would you say you were born female?
Oh, yeah, so born.
Okay, so you're in the middle. What does that mean?
So non-binary is, yes, I have my birth gender. I do not deny my birth gender. I'm not actively trying to transition to male, so I'm not taking steps. Like I cut my hair. That was just a personal thing.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I may eventually, if and when it's safe, to go on hormones, but that's to get like a deeper voice, just a bit of a deeper voice. But I'm not actively trying to pass as a male in male society. I'm not trying to go to the male's restrooms.
Okay.
I'm not male clothes, yes, but like they're comfortable.
When did you decide that you were more of ambiguous or what? So I'm gonna ask you that question first. What age were you when you decided I'm not so comfortable being purely a woman, I kind of want to be in the middle?
So my mom always let me dress myself. She let me pick my own clothes. When we would go shopping, she would let me be.
Tomboys were always a thing when I was growing up. That was cool, but they weren't taking drugs and all these crazy things they'd be doing nowadays. Some girls preferred wearing boys' clothes and acting like boys. That was all normal back then. Whereas now it's just gone to the extreme.
Like, hey, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? So I grew up wearing both male and female clothes. The boys' cargo shorts were always comfy. And then I grew up and I decided that I got this like what? Let me ask you this: what is the sickest you've ever been?
This is the thing. She identifies as non-binary, right? And she probably says there's loads of different genders, but she says she wears male clothes when she's a female. So are you saying there's two genders? Are there male and female clothes? Are they non-binary? I'm just saying.
Worst feeling you've ever had?
When I was in labor for 43 hours.
Oh God, yeah. So I'm not talking like physical pain, like when you have like that sinking feeling, that hurt in your stomach, that sinking feeling in your heart. That's what it feels like to me to be when I don't feel specifically feminine. That's what it feels like to put on a skirt or a dress or heavy makeup. It's like that sinking, like you curling in on yourself. And I started experiencing that, and I was like, what the hell is this? Because I was 6 or 7, and I was like, what is this? So,
and what was your mom's response to you when you told her that?
That I had the sinking feeling itself?
Yeah.
She was like, obviously she offered the
go and get some food, and then you get to the drive-through window, and you've been thinking about that burger the whole time, and then they say they ain't got them. Yeah, that's a pretty sinking feeling right there.
The standard, oh, is your stomach hurting? Are you sick? And I was like, no, I'm not. I wasn't sick, and I was just like, I don't.
So when you told your mom, maybe you weren't so much feminine, and you're kind of like thinking about that you weren't purely a girl or you're non-binary. What was her response to that?
I didn't actually start telling her that until I was 15 or 16, so like recently. And it's just kind of like, I want you to be normal. I don't want you to deal with the society. Like, she wasn't worried so much for me as the person I would turn into. She was worried about what other people would think and what
did your dad say? That's what I want to know.
Society would think and how I would be treated.
When's the first time you even heard the term non-binary? What were you doing and where did you find that term?
I was in the GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance, for my high school, and I was also 16. So I went for a good 9 years without hearing it, and I was just kind of like, okay, so I like male and female. I like boys and girls.
Again, two genders.
So your high school had a Gay Straight Alliance,
yes,
and you were part of that at what age?
16.
At 16. And
I was a junior in high school.
So you were junior high school, and then you started hearing of these terms, and you're like, oh, maybe that's something that actually fits me.
It did take a lot of consideration, actually. Okay. I first heard the singular they being used when I was 9 or 10.
From where? How did you hear about that?
It was just in general, like, conversation. Even my dad, who is he would probably be a supporter of Charlie Kirk. He used they to refer to one of his work people, and I was like, who are you talking about? Because I had to be involved in everything. I was a very nosy kid.
As kids are.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, who are you talking about? Because he said they, like I thought he was referring to multiple people. And he's like, no, I'm referring to this person. And I'm like, oh, okay. And just kind of moved on with it. And I was like,
oh, no.
That's cool.
This is the thing. If her parents sat her down and said, look, everything you're thinking and what the stuff you're seeing, it's not real. Parents have a duty to somewhat keep their kids on the straight and narrow. But when you're affirming your kids' delusions, like when I was a kid, I thought I was Superman. If my mum came in and said, yeah, Sam, you are Superman, you can fly, believe me, I would have flipped and jumped out the window and tried and quickly found out that that's not the case.
Okay.
Moving on.
So you preferred your pronouns to be
they and them.
They, them.
Okay.
So,
do you need me to explain how to use that?
Nope, because I'm not going to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that you're a they, them. Okay. I know that you're a woman and you were created as a woman and you're perfect that way. And I hope that there are some avenues and some people you can find that support you to let you know you're perfect the way that you are. And there's such a blessing in being a woman and being feminine. We have such a gift that we can have children. Yep. We create the love that's in our home, in a marriage, and with our children. Yep. There is such a blessing unique to femininity and womanhood. And that is the ability for us to bear children and raise them. We have such a gift that we have this child that we are able to nurture and then grow and shape into a wonderful person in the future. And so don't lose that. I'm not trying to change your mind or anything, but I know you've heard a lot about, they, thems, and maybe you're a they, them, or non-binary, and you might want to take hormones to make your voice deeper.
I stay mostly out of the mainstream LGBTQ+.
Right.
The most thing I would like to do, maybe I'll attend a pride parade, that's to show support. I would like to live my life as I do.
The thing is, that was probably the best parenting she's ever had. And she actually listened. We've watched a lot of these, and it's not very often you'll actually have a conversation where they're actually listening to each other and letting each other speak. And a lot of these people, by saying, all a woman is just someone who wears a dress. I mean, how insulting is that to the women in our lives, our mothers, daughters, sisters, wives? How insulting is that? Because a woman is way more than just slinging on a dress and wearing a wig.
Yeah, the last part that he just said, you know, that they, yes, okay, I got you, miss. But they insult women so much with what they say about this type of stuff. You know, these guys can walk into girls' locker rooms and be like, "I'm a woman. There's nothing you can do about it."
Yeah.
Throw out everything that they have.
Nothing's special. Nothing's powerful. It's just, you know, everybody's all the same.
Yeah. You know, they can be it just because they said so.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the stupidest thing possible. It's like you're going along with somebody's fantasy.
They will throw out this stuff. It's like I say, it's against nature, and they say, well, this stuff occurs in nature all the time, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. No.
Because if something has the ability to change or whatever, that's a natural God-given ability, and if it is they try to say sometimes that female lions can grow mange, and it's like, well, that's just a genetic anomaly. That's like a birth defect.
That's like a lot of our genetic anomalies, but they want to make it bigger.
Right. And it's like none of those animals is just choosing to go and be the opposite gender and forcing that upon the other animal. So it isn't natural.
Exactly.
They don't go and have surgeries to alter their appearance.
No.
They don't go and have things done to their chromosomes to make them
Never.
have a deeper voice or whatever, you know. They don't have testosterone or estrogen or whatever.
You know, and there could be the argument, well, if they could, they would. But they don't.
So
Flat out, do not, will
so
not.
It doesn't occur in nature.
Yes.
It is not a natural thing. And yeah, maybe you're a genetic anomaly, and sometimes you just have to deal with that.
Exactly. You are given what you are given, and there's a reason that you are supposed to have to work through what issues you have.
Exactly. And this whole designer genetics thing really gets me too, because that's just one step closer to being grays, you know, gray aliens.
Yes, exactly. That's right. That's spot on.
And it's like, it's not just with like people doing it to themselves like this. They're doing it to like in utero babies and everything.
They are.
You know, like I am, you know, say for some of you have a woman that is of Hispanic descent and she's got brown hair and black eyes and she's married to another Hispanic guy with brown hair and brown eyes. But she's like, no, I don't want that. I want a blonde, blue-eyed child. They can alter those genetics.
Yeah, they can go through the
It's called CRISPR.
Yeah, through the egg and everything, and genetically alter.
So that it is born to them with those traits, and it's like, that is dangerous.
That's playing God.
That's playing God. That's eugenics. That's, you know, no, I don't like it. It's like, I've never liked it. I don't like it when people do it with animals either. And it's like, you get it through selective breeding if that's the way you're going to do it, or no way at all, you know.
Exactly. That's the only way it should be.
Everybody wants to take shortcuts.
Of course they do. I mean, that's the human condition.
And even on the show that we watched, Teen Mom, they wanted a boy. This couple wanted a boy.
Yes.
And they're like, well, it cost $20,000 to ensure that they got a boy. And it's like, so what would happen to all the other girl embryos then? You know?
They would kill him.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. It's off them, unalive them.
Unalive them, yes.
You know, it's just.
Or sell them.
Yeah, it was just like when I was watching about the abortions, the what people are saying about it, and they're like, oh well, you know, the abortions are not killing it because it's not yet anything. And their main argument was it has not yet become anything. It has not had awareness to know that it was anywhere.
Right.
So therefore, and it's like, that doesn't really matter. What matters is the ultimate thing, and then it really depends on your belief of where the conception, what you consider these different factors. Yeah.
Like, yes, I do believe that life does begin at conception, but I don't believe that it's like, you know, it's like they say that the soul enters the body at 40 days, which happens to be when the heartbeat also starts.
Yes.
So once there's that first heartbeat, then to me that's past the point of like no return. And when you have the first brain function,
Yeah.
I don't care if it's just a spark that tells you to wiggle a finger or move a hand or whatever. That's to past the point of no
It is. That's damn true.
But if we want to go off of consciousness and awareness, then how can you have somebody that's on life support that's clinically brain dead? How can they justify?
Well, that's
keeping
just
them
it.
alive?
I know, exactly. And then if they're going to say it that way, then they have to be on the same page with that. And they have to be like, well, you can kill him.
Yeah,
and that wouldn't be against the law.
And I guess some people kind of do, and some people, like, I mean, they kind of do. I mean, there was that Chivro, I think her last name was Chivro case just back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And there was this huge debate between this whole pro-life thing and then the whole, well, she's been brain dead for this long, and she doesn't really have awareness and everything. And it's like, so there was like this huge lawsuit on whether or not they should just pull the plug or not. And they did, ultimately.
But I mean, and to me, that just really depends, because yes, to a certain point, if a machine has to keep somebody alive, then they're not considered alive anymore.
Right, and I feel that way too. I feel even like with miscarriages and everything, it's like if it takes a great amount of human intervention to keep something alive, then most likely it's not meant to be alive. Yeah, but some people will take that and run with it. I mean, yeah, that's fine too, but you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen 23-week-old babies make it because of that human intervention, and I do think that's great.
Well, yeah, that
it's just
that
not
is
a viable option out here.
no, but I mean, for somebody that can have that, and that's just it. Between the abortions and like miscarriages and stuff like that, for somebody to have an abortion is identified as an how do you say it?
Termination of a pregnancy,
well,
living.
No, killing, unwanted killing, unaliving, like a conscious knowing unaliving of.
Right. Yes.
Because there is never a need.
Voluntary.
Yeah, voluntary. That's the word I was looking for. There's never a need for an abortion, no matter what people want to say.
It'll be called something else.
Yes.
Yeah. Because those things are protected in all 50 states. Even cases of rape and incest are protected in all 50 states if you have to have a termination of that pregnancy.
Exactly.
It is protected. And I don't give a fuck. There's no need for Planned Parenthood.
No.
You know, tell me why they charge $600 to $3,000 for a procedure, and then they turn around and sell the tissues and everything, and they get government funding.
Exactly.
What the, you know?
They don't get government funding anymore.
No, not at all.
No.
That's crazy.
They've pulled it.
There's no reason.
No, there's not.
I mean, why were they charging people at all?
I know, it should have been free if that was the case.
And it was free for some.
Yeah.
It was, or at
yeah,
least
you found that one out.
Very deeply discounted for them. You know, the Hispanic community and the Black community, most of the time they qualify for free. Tell me why.
Yeah, and
you know,
and it's just so funny because they talked about the Planned Parenthood's being, well, it's more than just the abortions.
Well,
the abortions are just a small. No. That's what Planned Parenthood is.
Go to their website. Go to the
They
website.
do the abortions like crazy. If you want any other way of doing it, then you should go to the family pregnancy centers.
Right.
Because they will help you with every other way.
Right.
They will try to make sure that every other way is secured.
Let's see. You go here. You go to Planned Parenthood website. You I got the FPA one, which is the one that I went to, but same thing. Planned Parenthood. Number one thing here. Need an abortion? We heard it.
Yes, on the very top of the website
Yep. So don't tell me that that's just a small percentage. That is the bread and butter
of what
the
they
hell
do. And that's why there should not be any Planned Parenthoods to exist anymore.
No.
They should get rid of them, because if you want anything else, it is through the pregnancy resource centers.
Well, most of the time for low-income people such as yourself, you have the what do you call it, like Medi-Cal or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's its own health benefits, and most of the time everything is covered. I did not get my IUD from a Planned Parenthood or
No.
the FPA or anything. I went to a regular clinic.
Yes.
That accepted that insurance, and it was absolutely free.
Yep.
And I got all of my birth control. It was absolutely free. I did not get it from Planned Parenthood. I did not get it from any other clinic like that.
Exactly.
I went to a regular OBGYN, and they gave me that for free.
Ding, 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 ding.
Literally no reason for them to exist.
There isn't.
You know, it's like just if you're that strapped for cash, then you go to, you go and you get on the government assisted.
Yeah, if you're that strapped for cash, but yeah, you can go through and do this $6,000 to $3,000 procedure to unalive your baby.
Right.
I mean, come
That
on,
doesn't make any sense.
get real.
Like you go and you get on government assisted healthcare, and you can go get it taken care of for free. You know, anything that you need, birth control, IUDs.
It's exactly right.
STD testing, anything like that is covered through your state insurance. I guarantee it.
Yes, and the unaliving should be the last choice.
Yeah, like when I'm looking at this website, if it's just like the 1% of things that they do, it should be pretty damn difficult to find. But it is number one blared right here on the main page.
Exactly. That's right on.
It's like when I do the drop down list, learn. Overview, blog, abortion. Abortion is before birth control. It's before cancer. It's before consent and sexual assault. It's before emergency contraception, gender identity, health and wellness, pregnancy and relationship. All of these things is before all of it.
See, that was the other thing that the Planned Parenthoods.
That could be why.
But
Come on.
the Planned Parenthoods are also known for their transgender agenda.
Yes, I didn't know that, and there's like a whole article that I need to read about that.
Yes.
Because it's a whole like secret agenda that they're doing. Because I didn't know that
No.
I went on here. But yeah, even here it's a get care, find an abortion clinic, schedule an appointment. You know, it's like don't sit there and tell me that it is one of the last things that they do, because it isn't.
No, not by any means. That's the number one thing they do.
And it's like maybe, abortion wouldn't be viewed so badly if it was just talked about between a woman and her doctor, or a woman and her own choice, or whatever. But when you get Planned Parenthood involved, that is just an industry.
Exactly.
They're just making money, and that's disgusting.
It very much is.
From 3 different sources, they're making money.
Yes. All right, we're going to move on to the Pope now. Let's see if the Pope is woke, or what the census is on that.
All right, guys, so just some context. This
pronouns do not equal.
Habemus Papam, we have a pope, and he's American. Around the world Thursday, people celebrated what most thought would never happen. The conclave chose an American, a Chicago-born man named Robert Prevost, to be the successor of Peter in Rome. It was a jubilant moment, something that united the country in patriotic pride for about 5 minutes.
I don't know how you claim that this is an American pope if you won't even speak in his native tongue.
Conservatives are already complaining that this pope is too woke. Some other people are calling him the woke pope.
But many people are asking, is he based or is he woke? And so far, there's a little bit of evidence that he may be woke.
The new pope had barely exited the Vatican balcony after his introduction and blessing, and people in the United States were already freaking out, calling him a liberal, a globalist Marxist, and of course, woke. Can I just say, because I know most people will not watch to the end of this video to see me explain everything, so let's just get to the point right at the beginning. If you're using the word woke in the year of 2025 at all for any reason, let alone to describe the Pope, I think you might have your priorities mixed up. While the term used to be an important rallying cry for justice among the Black community, Today, it is nothing more than a pejorative dog whistle, a catch-all term meant to mock and dismiss progressive ideas as out of touch and dangerous. If you're still using the term in 2025, just please stop. If you're using it to describe the Pope, we have a lot to cover. First, I just think it's important that everyone understand where the idea of woke came from and how is yet another example of how much of Black culture has been co-opted and stigmatized over the years. Second, in order to understand why the Pope cares about things that would lead people to call him woke, we need to look at his choice of names, Leo XIV. In the tradition of the Church, the name a Pope chooses serves as a mission statement, signifying what his papacy is going to be about. His predecessor, Leo XIII, founded modern social justice initiatives, criticized American culture, and was a diplomat to the world. And finally, we'll look at Pope Leo XIV himself, his background, things he's said and done, and what's ahead of him to see how woke he really is. While the word woke only entered the popular lexicon in the 2010s, ultimately coming to serve as a pejorative term to disparage leftist and progressive movements, its use in the Black community goes back to at least the 1920s, where it had a very different connotation. In 1923, Jamaican activist Marcus Garvey, also known as the Black Moses, gave a rousing speech in which he said, "Wake up, Ethiopia, wake up, Africa. Let us work towards one glorious end of a free, redeemed, and mighty nation. Let Africa be a bright star among the constellation of nations." At the time, he felt that many people ignored the injustices that were happening to Black people across America and around the world. They saw it, they heard it, but they did nothing about it. It was as if they were asleep. In order for justice to come, they needed to wake up. The image was a powerful one, and over the next 80 years served as a rallying cry in the Black community to inspire resistance against racism. In 1938, the phrase "stay woke" was included in a song about the Scottsboro Boys, retelling the story of 9 Black teenagers who were wrongfully imprisoned and almost executed for a crime they didn't commit. In 1940, Negro mine workers, fighting for their rights against discriminatory pay, wrote, "We were asleep, but we will stay woke from now on." And in 1962, William Melville Kelly wrote an article for the New York Times entitled, "If you're woke, you dig it." For nearly a century, the term was something to be proud of, to signify that one was not being placated, not being anesthetized, that they were aware of the injustice of the world and they would not go quietly. There could be no sleeping in a time like this. I think it's important to note that up until around 2017, there was nothing about being woke that went against church teaching. In fact, as we'll see in Section 2, the fight for fair treatment goes hand in hand with the gospel and the work of the church. Unfortunately, like so many things that originate from Black culture, in 2017, the term had become popularized and was quickly distorted. No longer a rallying cry for those seeking justice, it was weaponized by some on the right as a sarcastic, sneering term to dismiss anything related to progressive politics, real or imagined. Reverse racism, socialism, gay marriage, furries in schools, open borders with no police officers, teachers convincing children to have sex change operations. Lump it all together. The craziest things you can make up with legitimate concerns for a just society, call it woke, and you have a boogeyman for everyone to fear. Crazy, out of touch, and absolutely dangerous. This is what people mean when they call something or someone woke today. This is what people mean when they call the Pope woke today. What do we make of that? The biggest problem I think the Catholic Church faces in this environment, why both Francis and Leo have been called woke, is because most people do not understand the history of the Church. By taking the name Leo XIV, pointing directly to the legacy of Leo XIII, I believe our new Pope is reminding the world of 3 important points. The first is the social doctrine of the Church. In 1891, Pope Leo XIII wrote one of the most consequential documents in Church history, Rerum Novarum, of New Things. Written in a time of incredible change, Leo XIII witnessed arguably the most tumultuous time in human history as the world went from an agrarian society to an industrial one. The entire social order was overturned in a matter of decades. Electricity, cars, radios, factories, light bulbs, telephones. Imagine what life would have looked like in 1850 compared to even 1900, not even a full lifetime away. There was so much change, so much growth, and so many people left behind while the richest people in human history rose to power. And so, in his letter, Leo denounced unrestricted capitalism and socialism alike, demanding fair and living wages for all workers, safe working conditions, and the rights of workers to unionize. Far removed from the politics of our day, these were not woke ideas, but grounded in the fundamental principles of the gospel and church teaching: the dignity of the human person, need to uphold the common good, and respect for subsidiarity. The document was neither a break from previous church teaching, nor was it a singular blip on the screen. In the 130 years since it was published, popes have upheld and added to these teachings, calling for societies to be just and equitable upholding the dignity of the poor, the outcast, and the refugee. Pope Francis was no more woke when he called for the welcoming of migrants than Benedict XVI was when he called for the redistribution of wealth, or when John Paul II called for the end of the death penalty, or when Paul VI called for solidarity with struggling third world countries. Teachings like this are not woke, they're just the gospel, finding their foundation in Leo XIII, who found his foundation in St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine, and of course, Jesus himself. So that's a huge point that needs to be repeated over and over again, and I've made plenty of videos on the social teaching of the church if you're interested in more. But it's not the only contribution of Leo XIII that gives us some insight into the new pope. Leo XIII was the pope who condemned the heresy he called Americanism. In his encyclical Wide Expanse of the Ocean, Leo looks from his home in Italy across the ocean to the United States, and he has a few things to say. On the one hand, he admired how the Catholic faith flourished in America despite the many anti-Catholic attacks at the time, building parishes, schools, universities, hospitals, and institutions. One day, he thought, that little nation would have incredible faith to be proud of. And yet, his real reason for writing was to warn the American church. There was something very deadly in that land that risked ruining the faith. He had seen how the wider society was fiercely individualistic, secular, and liberal in the classical sense of the term. It was a people that acted independently from the rest of the world, ruling not by principle or authority, not by divine or natural law, but by popular consensus. There was a worry more than 100 years ago that it was a land more concerned with its own national politics than the teachings of the church, quick to soften, even discard the gospel for more modern sensibilities. Again, when Pope Francis said in 2023 that the US church had a very strong, organized, reactionary attitude, this was not him being woke, anti-American, or anti-Trump. This was him continuing the tradition of popes before him. Leo XIII saw it first, and he called it out. But there's one more thing we can learn from Leo, because he's able to write this letter in the first place because he has credibility as a bridge builder around the world, as an extraordinary diplomat. Much like the economic landscape, the political landscape changed drastically in his time as pope, as many nations shifted away from monarchs, and countries like Italy and Germany unified as nations. Leo was an instrumental piece in these developments, brokering deals between Germany and Spain, improving relations with France, Russia, Switzerland, and Britain, and was able to unify the church across fractured lines, modeling prudence and patience. At no point did Leo XIII downplay the importance of the Catholic Church or apologize for the faith, but he also didn't flaunt its power or make unreasonable demands either. His goal was not to gain more power, it was to bring peace throughout the world. The ultimate goal is always peace. Every life is sacred. Again, this is not woke, this is the gospel. Is Leo XIII showing what it means to be a principled world leader, seeking the best for everyone, not just Catholics? And so it is with all this said that we return now to our new pope, Leo XIV, with the original question at hand. Is he a woke pope? Here's a man who spent much of his life as a missionary and then bishop in Peru, serving those who are among the poorest in the world. He was known to be a man of the people, always having time for everyone who needed him, available on the streets and among the poor. He advocated justice for workers and resolved conflicts peacefully. During the Peruvian floods of 2022, he put on boots and waded through the mud to help those in need himself. He used to personally drive food and blankets to remote villages and has advocated for the life and dignity of migrants. Not because he is woke, but because he is Catholic. As an American, he knows how American politics work.
I mean, as it says, you just got to understand what, the woke means, and it doesn't necessarily even mean what he was saying it means.
I mean, woke, the way it started and the way that it turns out now.
Yes.
I mean, you can't deny that woke is exactly what what the liberals have made it now.
Yeah.
Just because it started one way doesn't mean
that it's not going to be a different way,
A
yeah.
lot of things have started out that way. It's been corrupted by people over the times. And,
yes, exactly.
The liberals are the ones that started using it. That's how it came to be. It wasn't the leftists or the rights that were saying it. The leftists that were saying it. And then the right people they just capitalized on that, and that's where
exactly
woke ideology came from.
Yes. And I mean, as far as this pope, and as far as this pope goes, from what I have seen so far, which isn't much, this video, and I've seen a little bit and heard a little bit. I mean, I haven't seen anything wrong with him so far.
I've read some articles and some things from Matt Walsh and everything. I haven't seen anything he said, but I've read some stuff, and he's like, he feels a little, he's like, yeah, there's some changes. He's like, he feels that there's changes, some good and some bad. That, you know, some good signs and some bad signs. He's like, that it just kind of has to remain to be seen, I guess, what is going on. But hell, I mean, even the last Pope was caught saying straight up, calling gay people faggots.
Yeah, and then he also
And then he apologized for it.
he was also all for the vaccines, which I do not think that a pope should have even come close to.
I know, I don't think that any religious leader should be using their power to try and sway somebody on something such a delicate issue.
Yes.
It's like the Dalai Lama was the same thing, and I swear to God, it looked like they were holding him down to get the damn shot. And it was like, oh, it's an act of love. And then that's the same thing the Pope said too. It's an act of love.
Yes.
It's like this whole thing that they went around trying to say, you better say this. This is what you better say about it. And
Yeah, there's a lot on that, and I think I will cover that someday too. The whole vaccines and everything there, but that's a whole nother episode. But I mean, so far, I mean, if he sticks to what he has what he has done in the past, if he sticks to that, then he will be good. So I mean, to me, I mean, as long as he gets his hands dirty, he does the work, and he shows the people, and he's there for the people, then there's not much more that he can do to be bad.
you can elevate yourself to a point where you're unattainable by the rest of the people.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
It's like our greatest leaders and our greatest chiefs and everything have always worked.
Yes.
And been among the people and been with them, and they don't elevate themselves to some lofty position where they're not attainable and touchable.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
How else can you relate?
You can't. Not any other way. So let's get this. Okay, go ahead.
Thorin Oakenshield from
Yes.
The Hobbit. You know, he was the dwarf king, but he went and he like labored with his own hands and did metalworking and cut down trees and did whatever he had to do.
He brought his people back.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you know.
After a really bad fight that like got them down. He said, I will pull you guys back through, because they got chased off from the mountains at the time.
Mm-hmm. So he worked with them.
He worked with them and got them back to a whole nother point. I mean, that was amazing.
And then he succumbed to the dragon sickness, just like
Yep.
the small others. But you know, it's like all those hundreds of years he worked with them and everything, and he still overcame that too.
Yeah, he did.
He was strong enough to overcome that. It's a great story.
It is. It's a very good story. The whole Lord of the Rings is. I mean, for what is it? J.R. Tolkien. What he wrote. I mean, he created a whole nother language that people use today.
A couple.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, there was the light elfish, and then there was the language of Mordor.
Yeah.
So 2 different languages. You know.
That people use today. It really is amazing. All right, let's see what else this Pope has to offer.
Work. As a prelate of the church and someone who has ministered out of our American context for so long, he's also not defined by them. This may serve as the perfect combination for the world right now. Someone who can speak directly to the United States and the problems it is causing the rest of the world. Immediately after his election, old tweets were found of him criticizing the Trump administration's immigration policy, J.D. Vance's twisting of Thomas Aquinas to justify ignoring the needs of the world, and calling for justice for the unarmed black man, George Floyd, who was brutally killed by police in 2020. He tweeted these things, not because he is woke, but because he is Catholic. And finally, he's a bridge builder. His calm, moderate demeanor has made him a successful leader in both the Augustinian order and a bishop. He is said to be the type of person that thinks a lot before he speaks, being very careful with his words. This is not a man who will come with zingers or the intention of beating an enemy. In his first remarks as Pope, he mentioned building bridges 3 times. His hope, not unlike Leo XIII, is to bring peace to the world. He recognizes the horrible acts of aggression in Gaza and Ukraine, the outbursts of violence between India and Pakistan, the constant threat looming all around the world, and he knows that now is the time for peace. In his first Sunday message as Pope a few days ago, he made this his priority. Peace must be found. And not just the absence of war, but peace that is built on justice. He said these things, not because he is woke, but because he is Catholic. And that is the resounding point through it all. This is a Catholic man, meaning that he is going to be on the side of the poor. He is going to advocate for peace, welcome the stranger, and treat everyone with dignity. He is a man awake to the surroundings of this world and has an
Okay.
Okay, so I get it. You know, as a religious leader, that's supposed to be the example of bringing peace and everything. I understand that.
Yes.
But all of those things that he's trying to get behind, none of those people are peaceful.
No, they're not.
People that are heralding for peace in Gaza and all that, they're not peaceful people themselves. You know, they're loudmouth Americans, usually Westerners, and he's supporting that. And that is not peaceful itself.
That isn't, no.
So it's like you gotta, like, I mean, you can be an example of peace and say these things, but just to get behind those particular issues kind of makes him look a little woke, you know?
It does. And it's like, if you want to talk about peace, and then you go on with the last pope, and he was for vaccines, saying, oh, you need to get this. That is not creating a bridge or peace.
Right, and yeah, because there's such a divide there with people that have the vaccines or didn't have the vaccines.
And there's been a lot of proof that they were bad. It's come out, and it's like, there was not enough evidence right away to say anything, and they were trying to.
And why not say things about other issues that cause
Yes.
it? You know, I mean, it's like the last pope that had this roundabout way of blessing same-sex marriages.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
Really blessing the union. I'm blessing the people because we're supposed to be allowed to bless the people. And like, but are you allowing gay people to be married in your churches?
And you are.
And as far as I know, they were. And I do
Yeah.
believe there's even a gay cardinal too. And it's like, how does that even work?
Anyway, it can't.
You know, so
And that's where all of this gets really twisted into that.
yeah, I have a little bit of a problem with the Catholic religion as it is.
Yeah.
It does seem like it's a little pseudo-political a lot of times, and I don't know why.
Well, because they're trying to find things to use and to grab more people's attention.
I mean, there's a sense of arrogance behind many of the Catholics that
Yes, there is.
it's like a superiority complex, and it's like they're not even really Christian-based. They're more of a pagan religion. They put more emphasis on the Virgin Mary than they do of Jesus himself.
Yeah, they do.
Which is interesting, and I mean that's admirable, but I don't know. It's a little wishy-washy to me.
It's yet to be seen. I mean, maybe we're just overthinking it, but I mean, from what we just heard and what he's already done, it gets iffy there.
You better talk about other things too, because if he
Yes.
just talks about those things, then yeah, I would say that's right. If he talks about other issues that are like homelessness and the way veterans are treated when, you know, coming back here, and the healthcare crisis and opioid crisis,
Yes.
and all of that, if he talks about those things as well, then yeah, I'll say maybe.
Yeah, what about stopping the government from being the #1 seller of opiates and stuff?
Exactly. You know, that, and assuming he would know that firsthand coming from a big city here and,
Yes.
you know, seeing that inner city turmoil. So it's like, if he talks about those things, then I'll believe that he is not quote unquote woke.
Exactly, but
He's only going to talk about his political points.
exactly right. We will see.
An open heart to all those in need. When did having empathy become a threat to people? When did wanting justice for everyone become Marxism? These are Christian values. This is what Jesus advocated. To dismiss these things, to mock them, to lump these legitimate calls for justice in with wild and made-up fears of the alt-right is really, really awful. The new pope is not going to change church teaching on gay marriage. He's also not going to promote abortions, ordain women to the priesthood, or support sex change operations. The fact that he cares for the poor does not mean that he supports the entire liberal agenda, real or imagined, because what guides him is not American politics. It's not whatever conception of woke the world may have. It is Jesus Christ and the teachings of the Catholic Church. Pope is Catholic. If what he says or does offends you, if it challenges your political or social views, might I recommend something? Rather than call him a name, take a moment to question your own beliefs. Are you guided more by politics or by the faith of Jesus Christ? If it's not Jesus, it turns out maybe you're the woke one.
So yeah, we will see, ladies and gentlemen, if this Pope will be good or what else might come of it. Anything to add?
No, like I was saying, if he talks about other things that are not part of the American political agendas, then I'll believe that he's for the people and he's assuming a posture of peace all the way around. But if it just happens to be those particular issues and only those issues, then I'm going to believe that he is guided by American politics and is too westernized and is not going to be leading the Catholic Church in a good direction.
That's exactly right. And that will show in time. I mean, we're probably going to have this Pope for quite a while. They tend to run 20 years or so. And I mean, I think they said that he's like 50.
So we might even go a little longer.
Yeah, so we'll see. And I could be wrong on the age. It was maybe it's 70. It was, but either way, that's still, even 70, we've still got, 20 fairly easily.
I think the last one was 88.
Yeah. So I mean, time will tell. And hopefully the wokeness will calm down throughout the West.
Right.
But woke Wednesdays will be here until. And then after that, we'll just find the next thing to go on to.
There's always something that's corrupting Western ways.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I mean, we'll always find something. I'll be here. We'll cover whatever we have to. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to be announcing that about the Pride event. I will be there at the Pride Fair for that Saturday. I believe it's the 28th of June, 28th. And I'll be there all day. So, if anybody is around, you want to stop by, say hi, you can see me out there, I'm sure. As I get closer, I'll let you know more information. And, if there's anything else, maybe we'll run some competition there. If you see me out there, stop by. We'll figure it out. So, namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And we will see you on Friday. What'd you say for Friday?
Oh, we're going to talk about we're going to revisit the gay and trans doctrine in modern churches and progressive churches.
Yes.
And what it says about that.
There's a lot of content on that. So.
There's a really good video I started watching today.
Okay. That sounds perfect. That's what we'll do then. We'll go over the, doctrine in churches of the gay and trans agenda. So, namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day. Have a great week. Hopefully this gets you through the rest of the week on your hump.